Chesapeake Metalworks here. I replaced this with the cheapest metal replacement on Amazon, my 2001 330i. So this is the valve cover I received. It's been sitting here for some time. While the valve cover did include a gasket, I've chosen not to use the included gasket, and instead I'm going to be using this genuine Victor Reigns gasket. So this particular valve cover, I noticed it was leaking a while back, and I thought it was the gasket, but it turns out the valve cover itself cracked. Well, let's go ahead and start digging into this. Obviously, this is the PCV setup I have on it right now, and disconnect that and just leave it connected on the other side. And let me pop this off. I think we can get to the valve cover underneath. I think we can take those out. Ordinarily, if you had one of these, you'd have a tray back here, pops out. There's a couple screws back here. Okay, it looks like these are all 10 millimeters on the outside. I'm not worried about breaking this because there are actually new mounts on the new valve cover. I think one of these might already be broken. Yeah. All right. Go ahead and pull this off. All right, so this is inside the valve cover, and you can see we've got all these coil packs. Just pop these off. All the electrical connectors, pretty easy. So they barely lock in. Then we have to pull all of these off, which are just 10 millimeter. And I'm not going to take all these off while I have this in my hand because I'm going to lose those bolts. And this pops off. We take our O2 sensors out. Just pop those out, kind of leave them out of the way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, disconnect all this electrically speaking. Again, hung up on the ground strap there. We're going to have to move that over to the new valve cover, I think. There does appear to be an 8 millimeter down low. I have the tool over there. That's for a ground wire to the electrical harness for the injectors. For almost everything. So we got our coils here. These all look really nice. Clearly I put dielectric grease on all these because they pop right out. I'll try to show you where this thing's cracked. So when you pull this harness off, it was cracked behind the harness, from what I recall. There's like clips in here. Right down there, that one's off. Should just pop out. There it goes. Okay, I need to set that off to the side. All right, and it's very easy to tell where this was doctored up. So right there, there's a crack in the valve cover, and what I did is I smeared RTV all over the top, and it did a reasonable job, but I think it's still leaking a little bit. So, and obviously that's not an appropriate repair anyway, but there's a hairline crack. So I'm going to replace it with that metal valve cover, and that's going to solve our problem. So the other thing is, if you take note here, we want to unclip those. So that's just the O2 sensor that clipped in on the side of the valve cover. So now we're going to go ahead, loosen all these bolts. So I'm taking these 8 millimeter bolts off right now that are on the ground straps. So ground strap, 8 millimeter. Here's one more. These are special. Ground strap. Basically all the bolts in the center here are special bolts. They pop out. They're still 10 millimeter. All this is pretty simple, so now we're just going to pull all these out. This one is all RTV'd. I'll get that in a second. Look. Yeah, don't do that. And there are washers on here. This one just came loose. They usually kind of stick to go underneath the ends. So that was loose. That's loose. Might grab all of them anyway. You just don't want to drop them. I think the next one is down there. I don't know if I can get this tool down there. We're going to do it with a good old-fashioned ratchet. Put that loose. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the center. I think this thing will pop off. These are more like studs. Let's see, this will fit back there. Oh yeah, no problem. Smells like oil. And now, this one's probably gonna come off easily because, well, it was just off not that long ago. But a lot of times you have to be very ginger in trying to remove these things. Yeah, it's coming right off. If you're gonna crack them, this is usually when they crack. This one had to have been cracked before I touched it. I think that's why I did the valve cover gasket in the first place. So what we're dealing with underneath it here. Oil looks good, but the cams look rusty. Now this car has a history of sitting, and they looked rusty when I got the car. This valve cover was off very recently, therefore I'm pretty much just going to wipe down the mating surfaces. They're pretty clean. I'm just going to use a shop towel and a little bit of brake clean. Let's see. Cleans up pretty well. I think it'll be enough for it to seal. Hopefully. And down in these half moon areas here, these sharp edges, and in the back, I'm going to put some RTV. So all the way at the end here, it's hard to get on camera. There are these half moons, and you need RTV right here, just so it will seal correctly. These gaskets do go on dry. But back here, I do see some stuff we're going to clean off. Be careful. Try not to get any of this garbage in the actual engine. Make sure all of this is good. Because if there's one place it's going to try to leak on me, it's going to be right down there. These came with the kit. So here's the problem I'm running into with these. Specifically, the inner ones have a stud that comes up, and all of these are capped off. So they're not designed to be used with the ground strap or anything like that. So we'll have to reuse the factory ones for that. But the outside ones, I think I'm gonna go ahead and use these. In our Victor Reigns kit, make sure you don't cut your gasket when you do that. Make sure this is clean. I'm sure it is. Brand new. Let's see. Well, the good news is the gasket's a tight fit. I think that's good news. No, they're keyed Look at that. They're smart. It won't let you mess it up. So A, the hole has to line up, but B, the key is a different size. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing over here. Okay, that all seems to fit in nice. That one. So, one thing I'm noticing already is that this is so tight, you don't have to worry about the gasket falling out, which is good. Yeah, big key, no problem. Big key, no problem, went right in. But with these, I'm gonna make sure this half moon shape goes in first. That sounded good. It's sitting on a rag on the exterior part of the fender, so don't worry about my car. It's fine. The valve cover might be a little worse for wear, we'll see. I'm only doing it this way so I don't have to set the camera back up. All right, so I'm a little concerned that some of this gasket on the inside likes to kind of fold over, so I'm trying to get it nice as I can. It seems to be evening out more. I know these are always a little fiddly, but this is more than normal, I think. So, see how this goes. And the factory, or this gasket, which is a name brand gasket, has some like flashing on it, which is also probably not helping anything. Okay. We'll come back to this. Hopefully this stays like that when I put it in. All right. Think it will be okay. So the next thing we have to do is put our RTV in. I'm using this 90-minute gasket maker. I'm going to be careful how much you use. What I'm going to do, I'm going to apply it right here. Not a lot, just enough to take up that gap. But the point is, you don't want any of this inside the engine. I believe Subaru had a problem with that at one time, where the factory used too much. And then I just apply a little bit right there on that half moon. Like that's plenty. That's just to make sure it seals right on that edge. I'll check that here in a second. I can't see what I'm doing. But yeah, you don't want your oil pickup or anything like that to pick this stuff up. Verify the gasket. I can see the gasket there. I can see the gasket drop down on that. I think we're good. Gasket. This one is the one I can't see. Yeah, I think we're fine. Okay. The rubber for these, by the way, does not come with the Victor Reigns gaskets, which is kind of annoying. Can I'll do the rest of them by hand. Hook my breather back up. All right. I'll be right back with a torque wrench, and we'll set that to 11 Newton meters. Oops. So if you're wondering if they were too tight, they were not. So don't worry about that. They basically get bottomed out. You see how loose it is. The ratchet doesn't even want to work. So anyone who thought I was going crazy with the Milwaukee, that was Milwaukee setting 1. You can let it hit once or twice. It's not going to torque these things down. Those are all torqued down. And double check it if you really want to, but they're good. Oil fill back on. All right. We got some clips back here, which I see they gave a spot for. So it goes on like that. And the wire comes up there, like that. Not sure. There might be clips on, yeah, I think there's still clips on the other valve cover. Let me see. Aha. You get to swap these over. That's what it is. So those are not included. I'm sure you are aware of that. So we're going to put the ground straps on first. One goes here, like so. One goes all the way back here, like so, right where you can cut yourself. Tighten those down. Just want to make sure. Seems fine. I just want to make sure it wasn't like cross-threading or something. Yeah. Next one. Well, let's make sure we put that ground wire on first before we do anything. It's fine. All right, well, it should run. I want to see if I can even pop these out. There, I don't know if you can see it in here. The old ones have the nuts rusted off, so it took these out. Yeah, I can't hold that, so I need pliers. Let's go ahead and start this. Check for leaks. There you go. Seems fine so far. I'm gonna go get the oil warmed up on this, take it out for a test drive, make sure it runs okay. Link in the description for that valve cover. It's the cheapest one I could find on Amazon. So far, I'm impressed with it.